Hey, it's Daryl from the Drivers Project, and I'm here with Parker Price Miller. Parker, how would you describe your 2024 season?
Very up and down, I would say. Started out at Florida, had a few good runs with hard charger coming from like 23rd to 6th, and then went to Georgia and had some good runs, and you had a few months off and started our season back up in the Midwest, Oklahoma and Texas, and kind of struggled a little bit and made some changes within our team. Bernie was helping us out early in the year, and he just couldn't physically do it anymore. Running his own business and trying to be on the road and helping us, and it just didn't work out. And we mutually split apart, and still good friends today, thankfully. But so yeah, eventually I ended up having to be my own crew chief, and uh, that was good and bad. I learned a lot about the race car and learned a lot about certain situations and beyond racing, and but it also is really hard to try and manage driving and working on the race car and knowing what I needed without having feedback of saying, oh, your car looks like this, but I feel this way. So um and then we had Hayden from New Zealand, who he eventually ended up kind of taking more into the crew chief role and kind of allowing me to focus more on the racing side and having a little bit more feedback, between a driver and a crew chief. So that helped us out, and we had some good months between May, June, and July, and we were actually points wise we were the fifth best car out of those 3 months. So we were strong and had some strong runs at the bigger races, but once August came and we went out to the West Coast, we really kind of fell apart. I had no notebook out there. I don't race a lot out there. Hayden had never been there. We just really struggled and kind of really beat us up mentally. And um, when we got back, Hayden had to go back home. Couldn't keep crew guys really. And I just eventually just had to, it was smarter for me to just to park my own car and finish the season out for someone else and something that was reliable, at least to get to the racetrack. My own deal, I was bouncing from truck driver to truck driver and, last minute decisions. And, that's just not going to get you to the racetrack. Eventually it's going to fall through. So, thankfully for Brandon Eichenberry, I finished the year off in the 25 9P car. So, uh, ran the last, I think, 8 races for him, and we struggled a little bit. Had some good runs, but um, you know, a new car, a new crew chief, it's kind of bound to take some time to build speed. So, like I said, we had good runs and bad runs, but more so just thankful for him just to allow me to finish off the season and get the point fund money.
So, I actually raced with you back in 2015 was probably the first time we raced together.
Yep.
And at that time, you were more of a show up, throw your seat in it, throw your helmet on and race guy. And now
Yes.
you're making a lot of your own calls. Can you
Yep.
talk about that process and how it's come about?
Yeah. So 2015 was our first year together, and I was still in high school, so my dad would still travel me at the time. So Daryl knows we would show up to the shop, and I would probably throw my seat in, and then I would probably go play basketball or something in the backyard while everyone else worked in the car. And um, I kind of did that for a while, just wanted to race and was being a kid, I guess. But um, honestly, a lot of things changed for me whenever I was running for Destiny Motorsports in 2018. And, I didn't know how to build a sprint car, didn't know how to, work on them, didn't know really anything about them besides, that my seat was 9/16 head bolt and a 7/16 nut. That's all I knew really. So I got fired from that team in August, right before the Nationals, and I called around trying to find something to run nationals for. And Bernie Stugin from Indy Race Parts says like, "Hey, I have a car here. If you want to race it, you're gonna have to come down and work on it and build it." So I was like, "Okay." So I went down and learned a lot. That week, and then I raced for him the rest of the year with him and Gio and I actually got to keep the car at my shop, and eventually just bought the car and kept it at our shop and hauled it with our truck and trailer. But I maintained it that whole time, and learned a lot about working on them, maintaining them, and I was actually rebuilding them because I crashed too. So just happened to put them back together. And then the following year, I kind of was working on my own stuff too. I was just me, and I actually worked with Brandon Eichenberry again in 2019. He worked on my own stuff with me and my parents. So it was just me and him. And Brandon helped me learn a lot about, the race car and stuff, just working on them and just kind of bounced around, ride for ride. And that kind of helped me, get rides, hey, I can come work on it and get it ready and stuff like that, where, some teams don't have a lot of help or time to work on them. But so yeah, just kind of, I progressed from, I guess, a kid who just showed up and raced to someone, who could, give a lot of feedback and, help understand the car and build it if needed. So really, really thankful for that opportunity to, learn. Sometimes you look at only the bad sides of getting fired, but, getting fired from that ride actually, taught me a lot, and, probably helped me out a lot more in my career than it would have staying with that team.
So you've actually raced with some pretty good crew chiefs, Rick Ferkel, Phil Dietz, and
Yeah.
Bernie. What have
Shane
you taken away?
Bowers.
What have you taken away from them?
Um, Luckily, Bernie was very, open book. I have a very large notebook from whenever I raced with Bernie, and very simple stuff. Phil, I learned a lot too, but I think everyone knows Phil's very kind of like not secretive, but just to himself, and he has his own way of doing things, where a lot of other guys don't, I guess, wouldn't make decisions based off of what Phil does. He's a big tire temperature guy and ride heights, where I feel like some guys, I feel like ride heights are kind of working their way back into our industry, but a lot of people don't check tire temperatures. So he bases all of his stuff on that, and I learned a lot from him, and I actually learned a lot more about kind of running a race team and uh, building a very nice, clean race car from Phil. Because whenever I went there, they actually only had Clyde Knipp as a crew guy. So um, that off season, me, Clyde, and Phil built 4 cars for gravel, and then we built 3 cars for myself on the 14. So that whole off season, while they were trying to find another crew guy, it was just me and Clyde, and we built, we pretty much built that stuff from the ground up. And if anyone knows Phil, he like very like scatterbrained. Like he's one of the best, but one minute he's over here, one minute he's over there. So it was like a large task trying to keep up with him. But very thankful that I've gotten to work with some top guys in the industry. I really enjoyed racing with Phil. I wish I had the experience I have now with that opportunity back then, just because I feel like then I was just starting to get fast, but I didn't really have the consistency there. So we probably should have won 4 or 5 outlaw shows, but just me being inexperienced, we only won one. So would love to have that opportunity back again, but you never know. So, but yeah, and then working with Bernie, I still work with Bernie every now and then and talk to him, once a week, and so I'll always have that friendship there. And running with Bernie is one of a kind. Just uh, very funny, very easy to work with, and anyone that knows Bernie just he knows he's a good time. So and then got to work with Noisy at Destiny Motorsports, and I wish we'd had a better opportunity to work together. Just I'm not going to get too far into that, but just felt like we were kind of hindered on some things, and yeah, just like I said, very very thankful to have such a good crew guys behind me.
So you ran the first full year of High Limit. What were your thoughts and takeaways on that in terms of how the series was run? Is there anything you'd like to see changed?
I think it was very professional. I feel like in my opinion, Mike Hess is the best guy to work with when it comes to like on track stuff. So that was nice having him there. Um, the one thing I would like to see change is I didn't like the top four guys locking in. Like if we ran a 2 day show at one track, the first night, those top four guys or three guys locked in to the second night. In my opinion, that's not fair for points racing because, in my opinion, everyone should have to go through the same circumstances if we're going to run for points. So, them already starting in a quick time spot and pretty much being locked in the dash is not it's not fair in my opinion. So I'd like to see that change just to where it's just a normal night or we just do a cumulative points or something like that. So um but as far as other things in the series, I thought it was very, very good. I'm trying to think of the things that made me mad throughout the year. Not go back to California. I don't. uh, Interested to see kind of what racetracks I go to next year, but I also just I enjoy the freedom. Everyone talks about the 4 hour races that you get, and it's you don't realize how much it means to them until you go out on the road. Like when you're going to, like I said, California, and you're like, man, I would much rather go run this race on the way out there, or um, I don't want to go to this place, or I'm mad that we're missing Port Royal. Like Gravel got to go run the Weichert, and use one of those 4 races where, the Highland guys, as long as it's not a conflicting date, you can go run whatever you want to run.
So, last question. What does 2025 look like it holds for you?
Uh, as of right now, I have no idea. We still have all of our stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if we run it a handful of times. We definitely won't run the 9P full time on a tour with it just with how hard it is to keep crew guys, and not saying that it's crew guys' fault. Just it's hard to be on the road, and it's hard to find guys that want to do it and want to do it every day. I mean, you work Monday through Friday, and then you go race on the weekends, so you don't really have a break as a crew guy. And in my opinion, they have it way harder than the race car drivers. But so that it's just hard to keep crew guys. It's expensive, so yeah, I don't really know what I'll be in next year, but have some things working, and hopefully I can can have somewhere I can call home in the next few weeks.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you.